So the Brigade of Beans made a video called "Are All Systems the Same?" interviewing people with DID and OCD, and they asked like 8 questions or so to a bunch of people who are systems, and got them all to give an answer and whatever. And they said in it like, "Oh yeah, you can make your own video where you like answer these." So I figured I would do that. And they kind of go like asking kind of controversial stuff right out of the get go, like, "Oh yeah, do you have an evil alter?" Um, and I will say, no, not really. Um, I mean, we do have alters who have done like, I don't know, they've like made it hard for us to socialize with other people. It's kind of like shut down like any interactions with others and broken up some relationships before, but I wouldn't say they've ever like physically hurt anyone or anything. And then there's what is the best and worst thing about being a system? And this is an interesting question because for me, like I feel like being a system, like having DID is kind of has like it actually I will say it actually has its moments. But otherwise it's absolutely awful. So the worst part, like I feel like, is when like the association gets really bad and like you feel like a complete mess on the floor and you can't do anything and you just are like sitting and waiting for it to go away, or like those times when like you are out somewhere and something somewhere reminds you of something that happened in the past, and it's like you now are acting as if like that thing is actually happening like right now, even though it's not, and like you're completely fine. And like you go into like, oh yeah, I'm in danger, like I need to get out of here, and like you just like really need to get out, or like you feel really uncomfortable, and you just become a dissociative mess or whatever. Like it's terrible. The best part about being a system, I would say, is honestly, there were like times when like I don't know, one of our authors will like make a nice piece of art, or like they'll make like something in Minecraft or something like that, right? And then you get to come back and like see what they made, and it's like often quite nice, and often the style like you would never have done yourself, or like better than what you could do, and I will say those moments are kind of really nice and warm and fuzzy, but it's just everything else, like I said, like getting flashbacks over stuff, having no memory of what happens. Like there've been times where I've gone out somewhere when I didn't want to, and then like we've been stuck there for ages and I haven't known how to get back, and that's a whole thing. Okay, so question 3: How do you feel about the idea of system fakers? Ah, yes, this is another very controversial question, I see. Well, I'll tell you. Basically, I think the issue is actually more people claiming people are faking. I've had like almost no impact of people actually faking this disorder. Like, I know that statistically speaking, someone probably has somewhere, but like, and I've never known anyone who faked, but I have encountered many situations where people have claimed I am faking, or have claimed like other people are faking based on absolutely nothing. Um, like especially like they rant about TikTok or they rant about like Tumblr or something, and like, oh, there's so many people like faking this these days, and then you look at it and it's like, okay, sure, maybe they're like misinformed about some aspect of it, but that it's a very common thing to be misinformed about, and like you can completely understand why someone would like think that about it, but like it's just there's no nuance on it, and a single mistake is just seen as kind of like, oh, you must be fake, it's like, and there's like no recovery from that, and I don't like that. Like, honestly, I think that causes more problems than actual fakers too, because like I said, like I've never really been affected by anyone faking that much, but I have been affected by those other things, so yeah. Do you have a partner or a date? And no, I don't. So this is kind of like, it's not something I've ever done. I'm kind of like aromantic, so like doing things like that isn't really my thing. How do you approach disclosing having the idea of being a system? Alright, so I kind of do this on a need to know basis to an extent. At least in person. Online, I'm a bit more public about it, like it's on our Discord profile and stuff. But basically, yeah. So if something comes up where like I need to talk about us being a system to like explain something properly, like say if we get triggered over something and then someone asks like what's wrong, I have two options. I can either like try tell them, oh, everything's fine, there's no problem, or I can try get into it and explain like, oh yeah, we have the ID and this triggered some alternative fronts and whatever. And whether or not we do that depends on like how well we trust the person, how well we know them, and honestly if they even know this, because a lot of the time people don't know this. How do you cope with the associated symptoms? That's the neat part. We don't. Um, okay, so amnesia, we have occasionally set notes for each other on SimPPL. You can use it's like a feature in there to like set like a notification the next time someone comes to front, and like it's very useful. We do have a Discord server where we also can talk to each other, but almost no one uses it. Like it never gets checked or put use. And there have been on more than one occasion someone has like written a note like on paper and like left it somewhere for like we would find it. But that's not something I've ever done. But I know like some of my authors have done that. For identity confusion, we often either just put up with not knowing who we are and being confused, or we do a game with process of elimination to try to figure out who we are. So like things like, oh, how do I feel in regards to physical contact? How do I like fighting games? Do I like RPGs? Things like that. We do experience massive headaches sometimes, usually when we switch. Especially if we like put off a switch for a long time, or otherwise like had a very slow or very rapid switching at once. And we don't really have any solution for that. It kind of just happens, and we kind of just wait it out. As for switching, we also use SimPPL to track when we switch to an extent. I mean, it relies on some level of cooperation, so it doesn't always happen. Other than that, switches kind of just happen whenever. Um, and it's usually only really a problem if like it takes a while to switch, or if like we're switching rapidly. And another thing we struggle with a lot is getting like front stuck. So like I don't know, me being out for like 3 days in a row or something, and like it's extremely tiring and hard on me, and like I feel terrible by the end of it. But yeah. And then internal voices, honestly, our main issue of internal voices is that we don't hear them at all. Like, I think that's alright, but it means like we can't cooperate or we can't like understand what each other needs at any given time very well. Like, I all the time someone will try to say something and it will just come off as like a mess to me, and I won't be able to understand like anything that they actually said, or like I just won't hear it or something. Like, communication is something we're really bad at. Which does mean we don't get like I don't know, like constant conversations in our head like all the time, 24/7 or anything. But like it's kind of the opposite end. You kind of want somewhere in between. I feel like. What does masking mean to you? Okay, so this is an interesting one too, because I honestly feel like I don't really have to mask that much. Like, okay, having DID is interesting because it's like it might be very obvious to you what's going on like internally. I can think, oh, this is like super obvious, but people externally just don't notice. Like They don't notice if they don't know what to look for. And yes, I can probably hide it a bit more by pretending to be like some alter, or trying to like alter my voice somewhat to like sound more like, I don't know. Well, I wouldn't be me because I'm the host, but yeah. What is your inner world like? Right. So yeah, about that, we have aphantasia. We can't visualize at all, so we don't really have an inner world, which kind of sucks. Cause like from what I've heard, other people with like this condition is that the inner world is honestly like not all bad. Like it's kind of got some nice aspects to it, and I would kind of want to try that, but I can't. And yes, you mean like what's it like internally for us to like, I don't know, be around and stuff, which is kind of hard to describe because it's like alters are kind of just there, and like I can sometimes feel their presence, other times I can't feel their presence, and like sometimes I can communicate, and other times I can't communicate, and other times like you can communicate, but you can't quite hear what they're trying to say back, but you know they're saying something that's kind of like muffled or whatever. And then there's a bunch of bonus questions I can pick from. So, can different alters have different diagnoses or sensory experiences? I think is a good question. I can't say much about different diagnoses, unfortunately. Our psychologist did note that one of our alters stimmed yes than I did when like they fronted in front of them, but other than that, I wouldn't really be able to say much there. But in terms of sensory experiences, we absolutely have differences and different preferences there. Like, I don't like being touched, so like, even things like physical affection, like hugs and whatever, make me kind of uncomfortable. But then we have another alter who is completely fine with that and quite enjoys the layout. And also, one of the earliest switches that I'm aware of happening in our system, like years before I even suspected anything, was that like we were in the pools one time, like like a public pool place, and the bubbles like started turning on, right? And like I was suddenly really uncomfortable. But like the thing that was weird is like they didn't just turn on, they'd like been on for ages, and like I was just sitting in there, and then suddenly it's like, why am I really uncomfortable now, right? Because like I was fine before. Um and like now looking back, like at that, sure enough, I have an author who's like has a preference of that, because we've like gone back and checked that now, because we always thought it was a bit weird.